Well, North Carolina health experts are urging the public to be aware of a rare waterborne virus that has killed 3 residents in just the past month. Olivia Doles spoke with an expert about vibrio infections and joins us live now from Carteret County with more. Olivia?
Courtney, vibrio bacteria is most active during the late summer and early fall months. I spoke with a doctor who gave insight on the bacteria and how to treat it. Cooling off in water is a great way to fight off the hot summer sun. But the heat is also helping a potentially deadly bacteria thrive in some North Carolina waters. It's called vibrio, and according to the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, it is responsible for 3 deaths in the state in just the past month.
It's found usually in kind of brackish water, not usually like in ocean water, but maybe water that's been more, again, kind of not being real circulated.
The bacteria is rare in North Carolina. Since 2019, NCDHHS says there have been 47 total cases and only 8 reported deaths. In 2 of the 3 most recent deaths, health experts say the people had scratches that were exposed to brackish water in North Carolina and another state along the East Coast.
Open wounds are a big risk factor, so if you have open wounds maybe on your legs or anywhere that the water might get on the wound.
The 3rd person was also exposed to brackish water in the state and ate seafood that they caught personally.
It's from eating like raw shellfish, so probably like raw oysters, and that is really high, especially this time of year.
Health experts say they're spreading the word about the deaths to help people take extra precautions the next time they head to the water.
It is very prominent in the late summer and like fall months.
Health experts suggest to stay out of the water if you have an open wound, and if you decide to go into the salt or brackish water, to get out immediately and wash the wound thoroughly with soap and water, and thoroughly clean shellfish and cook it at a temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Live in Carteret County, Olivia Doles, WITN News.
All right, thanks, Olivia. And NCDHHS also says that increasing water temperatures associated with climate change are causing more vibrio cases, and warmer water means more bacteria in areas that were previously not affected.